This next lesson is probably one of my favorites. This is paint with no paint. And actually, I came up with this when I opened the Children's Center and had no supplies, and realized that I had a multitude of magazines with lots of color in them. So I'm going to show you how to use discarded magazines and a piece of cardboard to create your collage. And the supplies that you're going to need is, and it's any piece of cardboard, and if you're lucky enough to have a canvas board, good for you. That'll work too. And you're going to need some Elmer's glue and I put mine in a mason jar, and you're going to water it down a little bit because you don't want it to be that thick. And you're going to learn what consistency, because everybody likes a different one. And don't do what I did when I put the lid back on mine after using it, and it glued to it. It stuck to it. So I usually put a piece of saran wrap over it and then seal it so that I can use this again. And that little basting brush works great with the glue project too. So you're in luck, same brush works for both. Now, let us paint with no paint. This is your subject matter. This is a sample that I've created, and this is really, really simple. And we're gonna do an apple, and that's not a big deal because it's just a circle with a smile and a little stem, and then we're gonna put a little leaf on there. So this is basically how we're gonna start it, and then this is the part where this is where you get your paint from. And this part is fun. It can be distracting, but I just want to give you an idea. I'm going to set these aside for now and show you how I look for my color. And this is where you're going to need to ask your mom for the magazines, because I would imagine that she has some that she's not going to want you to tear up. So these are what you look for, and because right now, like, this has lots of color, and because I want to get between all this. So this would be, if I was looking for a peachy color or a beigey color, I would definitely tear these two sheets out and put them to the side. And oops, I messed that one up. This would be my color sheets. So I put them aside. And then you can continue to look through the magazine. And if you're looking for a blue, that might not be a lot of blue. So I actually flagged some. Now this looks great. Look at all that wonderful green. And so this would definitely be a sheet that I would tear out and put with my color sheets. And so and really what it's all about is just going through a magazine and looking for big swatches of color, especially the colors that you would be looking for. And that's where I get my paintless paint. And then go back to your board. And I actually pulled some sheets out earlier when I did this one. So I already have my red. I pulled some red. Now this is what's going to help you too. As you see this red here, it already has some dark and light. That's what you want to look for too. Now this one had mostly light red, so it gets a little darker there, because see how this apple went from dark to light? So when you can find some different shades of the same color, that really does help you out a lot. And see, this had some dark shades. And then if you get something like this, where it goes from dark to light on its own, that's a prize sheet right there. And I did pick blue, and this had a lot of blue. It's not the same blue that I use, but that's still a pretty blue. And that's what you look for. And here was a surprise. Let me see if I can find it. I found one sheet that had, because I'm looking for a leaf. So I found one sheet. Look, it already has these leaves. And while I don't use any scissors when I do my projects, that doesn't mean that you can't. And this would make some cute little leaves to cut out if you wanted to do one, if you wanted to put one on your apple instead of trying to do it by hand. So then the next step is this. I'm going to go with the red, because I'm going to go from dark to light. And the way you do, then you see I've already got some pieces torn. So you would tear this, and with your Elmer's glue, you actually put glue on the board first, and then you want to follow this line around. So you want to tear your pieces, and they can't overlap. And you just follow that line and paint on top of it. And you would go around the whole apple. And I wanted to show you that you don't necessarily have to use the blue. I wanted to show you that if you see a bright yellow, go ahead and use it. And then I'm not going to do the whole thing, because part of this learning process is you having to do it yourself and getting real hands-on with it. So if you know that you're going to go from dark to light, and then you can cover the whole thing. I think on mine I even covered the smile because I knew where it was. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make the stem, and you can cut it out with scissors. I mean, you can tear it with your fingers if you want, but I'm going to choose to use some scissors. And then I wanted to show you, while I was looking for some green for my leaves, I actually found this page that has some green leaves, and I could actually cut those out if I wanted to, but I really loved how these looked. And so the choice is yours, and you can use either one leaf or two leaves. So I'm going to cut these out and add them to my collage. And I love the fact that there's little water droplets in it too. So you see I used some of this right here, and I used some of the darker color for here. And you can see I used some green. Now here's a tip. Since this is the light side, if you can contrast it, it would look better. So when I chose the blue, I decided that I needed dark blue on this side because this was light, and then light blue on this side because this is dark. And I saved the leaf for last, and I did the stem for last. And I'm going to show you another trick. When it comes time to go around the border, sometimes it's hard to tear pieces that are straight. And I found that if I found the same color where it was already a straight edge, I would just cut it out or tear it out, pretend that's blue, and glue it along those lines, and that would do it. Or you can just let it off, go to the side and then just cut it off and not worry about it. And once you finish with your glue solution, just put another coat on top of it and let it dry, and that seals it off. And then you've got a beautiful painting that you did with no paints and use nothing but magazines.